compelled a passerby who was coming in from the country to carry his cross. It was Simon of Cyrene, the father of Alexander and Rufus. Then they brought Jesus to the place called Golgotha, which means the place of the skull. And they offered him wine mixed with myrrh, but he did not take it. And they crucified him and divided his clothes among them, casting lots to decide what each should take. It was 9 o'clock in the morning when they crucified him. The inscription of the charge against him read, "The King of the Jews." And with him they crucified 2 bandits, one on his right and one on his left. Those who passed by derided him, shaking their heads and saying, "Aha! You who would destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, save yourself and come down from the cross." In the same way, the chief priests, along with the scribes, were also mocking him among themselves and saying, "He saved others. He cannot save himself. Let the Messiah, the King of Israel, come down from the cross now, so that we may see and believe." Those who were crucified with him also taunted him. When people look at kings, one of the first things that we notice are their crowns. How big it is, how shiny it is, how many jewels are on it. Crowns show their power, their authority, their strength, and their identity as a king. As Jesus was taken by the soldiers, he was beaten. He was spat at. He was whipped. They mocked him as they said, "All hail the King of the Jews." They did give him a crown, but the lowest of crowns, a crown of thorns, a crown of suffering, a crown of pain. Crowns of the best kings are gold and filled with jewels, right? The more expensive, the more respect, the better the crown, the better the king. Jesus proved that wrong tonight. Because what the people didn't know was that at any moment, Jesus could have taken the crown off of his head. He could have walked away. He could have chosen the path of gold, the path of riches. But he didn't. What they didn't know was that he chose the crown of thorns, the crown of suffering, so that they didn't have to. He chose the cross so that we don't have to. As the people walking by, as they said, "He can't even save himself." What they didn't know was that he chose not to save himself, but rather to save us. People think kings wear gold and satin, sitting on their thrones, but Jesus proved that wrong. The King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, Jesus Christ, instead of wearing this for himself, he wore this for us.
continue with the fifth reading from the Gospel of Mark. When it was noon, darkness came over the whole land until 3 in the afternoon. At 3 o'clock, Jesus cried out with a loud voice, "Eloi, Eloi, lema sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" When some of the bystanders heard it, they said, "Listen, he is calling for Elijah." Someone ran, filled a sponge with sour wine, put it on a stick and gave it to him to drink, saying, "Wait, let us see whether Elijah will come to take him down." Then Jesus gave a loud cry and breathed his last. And the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. And now when the centurion, who stood facing him, saw that in this way he breathed his last, he said, "Truly, this man was God's Son." There were also women looking on from a distance. Among them were Mary Magdalene, and Mary, mother of James the younger, and of Joseph, and Salome. These used to follow them and provided for him when he was in Galilee. And there were many other women who had come up with him to Jerusalem. Here ends the reading.
The sixth reading from Mark's Gospel. When evening had come, and since it was the day of preparation, that is the day before the Sabbath, Joseph of Arimathea, a respected member of the council, who was also himself waiting expectantly for the kingdom of God, went boldly to Pilate and asked for the body of Jesus. Then Pilate wondered if he were already dead and summoned the centurion. He asked him whether he had been dead for some time. When Pilate learned from the centurion that he was dead, he granted the body to Joseph. Then Joseph bought a linen cloth, and taking down the body, wrapped it in the linen cloth, and laid it in a tomb that had been hewn out of the rock. He then rolled a stone against the door of the tomb. Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of Joseph, saw where the body was laid. We know the story of Good Friday. It's about Jesus, his death on the cross for the sin of the world, for yours and for mine. Sometimes it causes us to go, Other times it sends us amazing surprises. And so it is with today's Good Friday Gospel from Mark. Where are the 12 male disciples who had followed Jesus throughout his ministry, when at this very moment, this important moment, this dying moment of Jesus, where in the story are they? These are the 12 disciples who just last night had gathered with Jesus around the table to eat Passover together, his body and his blood. Mark tells us after Judas kissed Jesus in the garden, identifying who Jesus was, they arrested him. And then all of his disciples deserted him and fled. This is just as Jesus had told them would happen as they first entered the garden before his agitated time of prayer. Interesting to note, much earlier in the Gospel, Jesus told a parable about a man who went out to sow some seed in a field. When Jesus talked about the seed that fell into rocky ground, he said, when trouble arises, immediately they fall away. As you heard in the Gospel of Mark for today, when Jesus was dying, the disciples were long gone. So now let's quickly take a look at the three surprising witnesses who experienced and told about Jesus' death in Mark's Gospel. Surprising witness number one was a Gentile. Of all things, an officer in Caesar's military. What was his witness? Truly, this man was the Son of God. The second surprising witness were women. Many of them, 3 of them receiving names. Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of Jesus, and Salome, who's thought in tradition to be the mother of 2 of Jesus' disciples, James and John, the sons of Zebedee. But the gospel doesn't stop there. It said, and then there were many other women who were followers of Jesus who were standing and watching as Jesus died. Yes, the 12 male disciples, when it came to crunch time, were not anywhere to be found, but these female followers followed Jesus to the end. And finally, surprising witness number 3 was a member of the Jewish leadership group in Jerusalem called the Sanhedrin. His name was Joseph, from a small Judean town 20 miles east of Tel Aviv called Arimathea. Here was someone from the Jewish inner circle of power who was bold when he went to Pilate to ask for the body of Jesus. Then he went and purchased a linen cloth and faithfully wrapped Jesus' body in it, laid it in a tomb, and secured it with a rock, covering his entrance. Thank God for 3 surprising witnesses.